Good morning, Rebels, and welcome back to my life. It's Writer Wednesday, the day that we discuss tips and tricks for writing gooder. Have I mentioned that I write books, like for money? So it's very popular to say that you have a useful writing trick to share, but I'm going to share a hard truth with you today. There are almost no writing tricks. Almost. Having a thesaurus is handy, but that's not a trick. Writing a lot will make you better, but that's not a trick. That is work, and you need to do a lot of it. I mean, you, like the general you don't need, I don't know how much improvement you need, personally. Reading also makes you better at writing, although that is also not a trick. It takes years and years of reading to make you, like, slightly better at writing. In fact, there's only one writing trick that I've ever learned. One thing that is always on my mind when I'm working, and it's the only thing that matters, really. When you are writing, you are communicating something. On a macro or a micro level, you are communicating something. Your book has a big, broad communication. Each chapter in it is a smaller communication that contributes to the larger whole, and every scene in every chapter does the same thing. So as a writer, you must know what you are trying to say. It is your job to distill the message you are intending to get across to your audience. And you must be able to put yourself in the head of your eventual reader, and you must be able to evaluate honestly and completely whether they are going to understand what you are trying to say. This requires incredible self-awareness, and self-awareness can often be one of the great weaknesses of any writer. It takes patience and humility and honesty. Sit there and stare at your words until you can honestly answer this question. Will a random reader out there in a bookstore or online understand what you are trying to communicate? And if the answer is no, that is when you use this trick. Add things that contribute to your communication and remove things that do not contribute to your communication. This sounds too simple to be useful, and yet I promise you it is not. It is one of those things that you assume everybody in the world knows, and yet you do not use it in your writing enough. I can almost guarantee it. And it applies to every level of writing, from the entire book series down to the choice of a single word. This is why when some writers edit their books, they cut a lot of words out, and other writers edit their books and add a lot of words in, and neither of them is wrong. What is your book intending to communicate? Now, look at every single character in your book. Do they do something to contribute to that communication? If not, cut them out of the story. What is each chapter trying to say to contribute to the overall message of the book? Now look at every scene in that chapter. Is it adding to that message? If not, cut it out. If you haven't achieved the message, maybe you need to add a new scene. This applies to every level of editing, right down to copy editing. Does a typo contribute to your communication? Probably not. Get it out of there. Now I can hear some of you out there objecting, saying this sounds like it's for plot-based works and for hard-driving books. Sometimes you want to take things slow. Sometimes you want to let a scene breathe. And if that is the case, I want to reach through my camera and grab your face, because that in itself is a communication, and a quiet, contemplative scene lends itself incredibly well to that kind of narrative. I am not trying to say that one type of writing or book is better than any other type. I am saying that your book is your book, and it is trying to say something, or it had better be, and you need to make sure that every part of that book contributes to saying that something. If you ever feel like you don't know what to do when you're developing your book, or maybe you feel like you're over-editing your book, or you're working on your book and you're not really sure if it's done or not and it's hard to tell, this is all you have to do. Examine what your book, your chapters, your scenes, and every page is trying to communicate, and ensure that it's achieving that message. Check out all the things that don't contribute to it and add in more things that do contribute to it. It sounds too simple to believe, but I promise you this is all a good writer, an editor, or a publisher ever do. I hope you find this principle useful as you use it in your writing, Rebels. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Maybe. Bye!